When it comes to EarthMix, nothing is a coincidence. The first time they met, their so-called divorce era, and even their mascot Mr. Saturn World, they all have one thing in common. As we explore their birth charts and couple horoscopes, you'll notice one thing that always shows up. It's like a red thread that connects parts of their story but also ties their fate together. Hello stars, welcome back to my channel where I analyze the relationship horoscopes of your favorite BL ships. If you're new here, my name is Beatrice, I'm a professional astrologer and also a huge BL fan, and today I'm taking a closer look at the charts of EarthMix. I am always excited when doing this analysis, but I was even more excited about this one. First of all, because I love EarthMix. Secondly, because theirs is one of the best relationship horoscopes I've analyzed so far, with only Ijan and Skainani being at a similar level. And thirdly, because I saw some fascinating things in their horoscopes. I can't wait to share that all with you. It all starts with a special conjunction in Earth's birth chart. When analyzing relationship charts, I always start with the individual birth charts because they show us how a person acts in a relationship, what they look for in a partner, and so on. So let's do the same now, starting with Mix. Mix was born on the 22nd of July 1998, just as the Sun was leaving the zodiac sign Cancer. In his chart, the Sun sits at the powerful 29th degree. This is called a critical or an erratic degree in astrology. It gives Mix a very intense version of Cancer energy, deeply emotional, extremely caring, and incredibly sensitive when it comes to love. He is strongly connected to anything related to home life. He worries a lot about loved ones. He might experience emotional crisis or a powerful longing for comfort and emotional safety. But on a more positive note, exactly this sensitivity and caring nature could be what makes him successful in the end. Let me also mention that the 29th degree of Cancer is known as the millionaire's degree because many very rich people have planets there. So Mix has a good chance to become rich. Cancer is a water sign, and water in astrology represents emotion, intuition, and closeness. And Mix has a lot of it. 5 planets in water signs, including 4 personal ones: the Sun, Moon, Venus, and Mars. This means love, desire, feelings, and self-expression are all soaked in emotion. He doesn't just fall in love, he dives in. As for the element he is missing most in his chart, you will love this. It's Earth, no pun intended. Lacking Earth means that he might struggle with feeling grounded or connected to everyday reality. He might find it harder to focus on practical matters, but this changes when Earth Mix are together, as we will see later. With the Moon in Cancer, Mix wants someone who makes him feel safe. He likes partners who are emotional like him, who maybe cry easily, who want to stay home together, who are soft, caring, and even a little clingy. Deep down, he's looking for someone who gives him the feeling of a parent, not in a weird way, but in a way that says, "You're my safe place." The Moon is how we feel secure, and in Cancer, it's all about comfort and emotional bonding. He wants love to feel like home. Venus, the planet of love and relationships, is also in Cancer, sitting next to asteroid Hera, which is linked to long-term relationships and marriage, and asteroid Valentine, which speaks about romantic love. This Venus is gentle, loyal, and nurturing. Mix is the kind of partner who wants to take care of you, to cook for you, and who remembers the little things you like. But Venus also squares Juno, the asteroid of soulmates and serious partnerships, which brings tension. This suggests that sometimes what Mix wants in love and what his soul needs in a long-term partner may not match perfectly. His Mars, the planet of passion and drive, is also in Cancer, meaning he fights with his heart, not his fists. Mars in Cancer can be moody or passive-aggressive, but it also brings protection. Mix will go to war for the people he loves. This Mars forms a rare yod, also called the finger of God, with Pluto, the planet of transformation, and Uranus, the planet of sudden changes. This tells us that Mix is being pushed by the universe to grow through love, through emotional bravery. He might go through sudden, intense relationships that teach him powerful lessons about himself. But there's more. Mix has a rare pattern in his birth chart called the mystic rectangle. It's formed between his Sun in Cancer, Juno in Libra, Neptune in Aquarius, and Jupiter in Pisces. This is a magical setup that connects love, dreams, beliefs, and long-term relationships. Jupiter, the planet of growth and optimism, sits in Pisces, another water sign, making Mix a true romantic. He wants deep, soulful love, the kind that feels like fate. Neptune, the planet of dreams, brings idealism and fantasy, so when Mix loves, he often imagines a fairy tale romance. But because Neptune is also part of a stressful T-square with Saturn in Taurus and his Sun in Cancer, he might also feel like love is hard work or that he can't always reach the dream. Saturn, the planet of responsibility and structure, is in Taurus, the only planet in an Earth sign in Mix's chart. Earth represents stability and reality, but because he has so little of it, Mix might find it hard to stay grounded in love. He can get lost in feelings or fantasies. Another special thing in Mix's chart is a small talent triangle, a helpful and supportive pattern formed by his Venus representing love, Saturn, commitment, and the North Node, life direction. This shows a natural ability to create something lasting in love if he can combine emotion, loyalty, and practical effort. It's not always easy, but it's a hidden gift he's meant to develop. And then there's Black Moon Lilith in Libra, a point in astrology that speaks about our untamed raw side. Libra is about love and beauty, and Lilith here means Mix is drawn to people who are graceful but rebellious, and maybe he secretly wants to break some relationship rules. This can mean, for example, breaking the traditional roles in a relationship. Lilith in Libra is also associated with strong feminine energy, making Mix naturally alluring to others, both to women and to men. He may also be drawn to relationships where he can express his feminine side and feel valued for his beauty and charm. Mercury, the planet of communication, makes a smooth connection with Lilith. This gives Mix a way with words in love. He might say things that shock you, but also pull you in. There's a magnetic charm in how he talks about feelings. Lastly, there's the asteroid Valentine, named after Saint Valentine and associated with love. It sits at 29 degrees in Gemini, another critical point. Gemini is about communication and connection. With this asteroid in such a strong place, we can guess that Mix's love life is tied to how he communicates or that his love life is something that people talk about. This strong placement fits perfectly to being a BL actor. We have Gemini, so a duo, communicating or acting together, respectively being in the public eye, and all related to love. Until now, I've talked about the emotional side of his relationships, but I can also tell you what he likes physically. He is drawn by an attractive chest area and a beautiful tummy or belly button. Also, the torso is probably his most sensitive area when his partner touches him. Earth is 4 years older than Mix. He was born on the 23rd of February 1994 with the Sun in Pisces, one of the most sensitive and romantic signs in the zodiac. Pisces is a water sign, and water in astrology is all about emotions, intuition, and deep connection. Similar to Mix, Earth has a lot of water in his chart, which makes him someone who feels everything intensely. He doesn't do casual when it comes to love. He wants something soulful, something real. Depending on the exact time of his birth, which unfortunately I don't know, there's a good chance Earth has a moon in Cancer, the most nurturing and caring moon placement of all. The moon shows how we love and what makes us feel safe. With the moon in Cancer, Earth needs someone who makes him feel at home. He wants emotional closeness, not just physical. He's the type of person who remembers your favorite food, who texts to see if you got home safely, who wants to hold your hand even when no one's looking. If he doesn't feel emotionally secure, he will quietly pull away. In Earth's chart, the moon plays a special role because of a so-called bucket pattern. Almost all his planets are gathered on one side of the chart, with just the moon, probably in Cancer, on the opposite side, acting like the handle of a bucket. This moon becomes super important. It holds all his emotions and often decides how he handles everything else. When the moon is full, safe and supported, Earth shines. When it's overwhelmed, everything else can feel heavy. Now let's talk about Venus, the planet of love and attraction. Earth's Venus is in Pisces, and this is a beautiful placement because Venus is in exaltation here, meaning it works at its best. Venus in Pisces is dreamy, poetic, and romantic. Earth gives all of himself in love, body, mind, and heart. He sees love as something magical. He can fall for someone's soul before he even fully knows their story. Venus is also in a positive connection to Jupiter, the planet of luck and growth, in Scorpio, another water sign. This adds emotional power to his romantic nature. When Earth loves, he loves big. Up until now, we've seen a very emotional, dreamy, and romantic side of Earth. But the thing is, he's also very grounded, as you will see in a bit. I don't know if you had the same feeling, but to me, Earth always seemed to look older than he really is. Let's not forget that he played the character Jim in Moonlight Chicken very credibly, although Jim was nearing his 40s and Earth was not even 30 at the time. Well, this is because of that special conjunction that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. His sun, his core personality, is conjunct Saturn, the planet of discipline, maturity, wisdom, limitation, structure, responsibility, hard work, but it is also related to karma and past lives. Keep Saturn in mind because this is the one thing that we will see over and over again during this analysis. Earlier, I mentioned the red thread that connects EarthMix and many parts of their story. That red thread is Saturn. Before we move over to the interpretation of his birth chart, let's talk about Mr. Saturn World. When EarthMix drew their mascot, Earth explained that the fans call Mix Saturn. Mix himself said once, "If P Earth is a sun, I am Saturn. We always connected together as we work together as partners." But honestly, why would the fans call him Saturn? Even if you're not an astrology expert, you would associate Venus with love, so people who ship them as a couple would probably call Mix Venus, or maybe, just maybe, Mars. Or if you are more into astrology, you would use the name of a love asteroid like Cupido, Amor, Juno, or Hera. That would actually fit since the asteroid Amor is relatively close to Mix's sun. But Saturn? That's strange. While this is the planet of hard work and long-term commitments, it's also the planet of limits. So me personally, I would probably avoid making a mascot like Mr. Saturn World for a duo that wants to grow and be successful together. But then again, the sun representing Earth, the actor, not the planet, is glued to Saturn in his birth chart. This explains it all. Earth, represented by the sun, and Mix, Saturn, are tightly connected. Wherever Earth is, Mix is there too. I don't like conspiracy theories, but here I am starting one myself. I believe that the idea of connecting Earth and Saturn didn't come from the fans, but from Earth Mix themselves or from someone who knows them personally. If it came from a fan, it must have been one with astrology knowledge who analyzed Earth's birth chart. In any case, I don't believe that this whole Earth-Saturn thing is a coincidence. That being said, let's get back to Earth's birth chart. People with the Sun-Saturn conjunction often seem older than they are, wiser, more serious, sometimes even a little guarded. While we've seen that his moon is very strong in his chart and makes him driven by emotions, Earth probably still doesn't jump into love or anything else without thinking. Or even if he does it, he's careful. He might build walls to protect himself, especially since that same Sun-Saturn energy is in a tense opposition to Chiron, the asteroid of wounds and healing in Virgo. This shows that love could bring up past pain. Earth might feel like he is not enough or like he always has to prove that he's worthy of love even if it's not true. But with time and the right partner, this is something he can grow through. In fact, love might be what heals him the most. In Earth's chart, Pluto is conjunct the North Node in Scorpio, meaning that he is destined to experience deep, intense, and transformative relationships. Love for him isn't light or casual. It's powerful, emotional, and sometimes even a little overwhelming. Through love, he's meant to face his fears, let go of control, and grow stronger by opening his heart fully, even when it's scary. Talking about the Pluto North Node conjunction, another celebrity that has this conjunction is BTS member J-Hope. If you want to know more about him or the other BTS members, please let me tell you that I also have a channel where I analyze the birth charts of celebrities, at the moment focusing on BTS and other K-pop idols. Of course, I will also upload videos about K-pop ships, so check that out. I'll post a link in the description. Now back to Earth. His Pluto North Node conjunction is at the center of a so-called T-square, a challenging pattern in his chart. This powerful duo is square both the Sun-Saturn conjunction in Pisces and Chiron in Virgo. This means Earth's destiny involves intense emotional growth. Love won't always be smooth for him, but every relationship teaches him more about himself. He's meant to go through deep emotional experiences, even painful ones, that shape him into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. His Mars, the planet of attraction and passion, is in Aquarius. This brings a fresh twist to everything. Mars in Aquarius doesn't follow the rules. It wants unique and intelligent people. Earth isn't just attracted to looks. He wants someone he can talk to for hours, someone with their own ideas and a creative mind. Love for him is also friendship. He needs to feel like he can be himself and not be judged. A partner who gives him space to explore, grow, and be weird in the best way is a must. His Mercury, the planet of thinking and communication, is also in Aquarius and retrograde, which makes him a deep thinker. He might replay conversations in his head or struggle to say how he feels right away. But when he does speak, he surprises people. His words can be clever, insightful, and totally unexpected. This Mercury retrograde could also be the reason why he struggled with pronouncing words correctly in the past, as he said in an interview. Even though Earth has a lot of emotional depth, one thing is missing in his chart: fire. He has no planets in fire signs except for Black Moon Lilith in Aries, which isn't a planet. Fire in astrology gives us energy, excitement, and the courage to take risks. Since it's missing, Earth might sometimes hold back, hesitate, or feel unsure about starting something new, especially in love. But Lilith in Aries shows there's still a spark in him hidden underneath. Once lit, it can be bold, raw, and fearless. As I did earlier when talking about Mix, I'll conclude his birth chart reading by telling you what attracts him in a person on a physical level. First of all, beautiful feminine ethereal features or a face that is even baby-like or chubby. He is attracted by persons with a beautiful voice, even more if they are good singers. He also has a soft spot for beautiful legs, especially the lower part and the feet. When it comes to romantic touches, his calves, ankles, and feet are his most sensitive body parts. Earth and Mix are both full of water energy, which means they feel everything deeply and love with their whole heart. They probably both have the moon in Cancer, which makes them nurturing, soft, and very connected to home and family. This could be why they seem so cozy and domestic together, like they live in their own little world. Their bond feels safe, gentle, and emotional, just like an old married couple. But this is just the first part. We've only talked about their birth charts. But there's way more to explore when also reading their synastry, that's a comparison of their natal horoscopes, and their composite chart, the horoscope of the relationship itself. The connection between Earth and Mix is filled with emotion, depth, and quiet intensity. Whether they are close friends or something more, their bond runs deeper than it looks from the outside. Both of them have a lot of water in their charts, which means they are sensitive, intuitive, and feel safe around people who understand their moods without asking too many questions. If Earth's moon is in Cancer, which is likely, then it may connect to Mix's sun or moon, creating a cozy, almost telepathic emotional link between them. This could explain why they often seem so in sync, because they simply understand each other. Their emotional connection is supported by the fact that Earth's Venus, the planet of love and affection, forms flowing connections to Mix's Mars, the planet of desire, and maybe even to Mix's moon. This means there's attraction but also softness and comfort. They enjoy each other's presence and might feel safe being vulnerable together. Mix's Venus also gently supports Earth's Juno, the asteroid of long-term commitment, which adds love or a romantic flavor to their bond. Earth's Sun and Saturn are joined together in his chart, forming an easy link to Mix's Saturn and being a sign that they may be met in another life too. In this current life, they respect each other's boundaries and feel safe building trust slowly. That same Sun-Saturn energy in Earth's chart also forms a smooth connection to Mix's Venus, which adds patience and loyalty to the affection between them. But there's a twist. Earth's Sun-Saturn conjunction also clashes with Mix's Pluto, the planet of power and deep change. This can bring tension, especially when one of them wants control or when things get too intense emotionally. Yet Mix's Sun and Jupiter both support Earth's Pluto and North Node, with the North Node showing where someone is headed in life. So even if things get complicated, Mix helps Earth grow and transform just by being who he is. This gives them a feeling that their relationship was fated, like they were meant to meet and to help each other on a soul level. The asteroid Fortuna, linked to luck and wealth, plays a special role in their charts too. Earth's Fortuna is connected to both Mix's Sun and Jupiter, which means that when they are together, things just seem to click. They may bring joy and success, including financial success, into each other's lives. Chiron, the asteroid of emotional wounds and healing, is also strongly connected to Venus in their charts. Earth's Venus, showing how he gives love, supports Mix's Chiron, and Mix's Venus supports Earth's Chiron in return. This creates a soft healing energy between them. They help soothe each other's old hurts just by being kind and emotionally available. That said, not all of their healing is easy. Earth's Chiron forms a challenging aspect to Mix's Pluto, the planet of transformation, which can stir up emotional wounds or power struggles that push them to grow, but sometimes through discomfort. As I said, it's not all smooth sailing. Both of their Liliths, which show our wild, rebellious side, are in strong tension with each other. This creates a magnetic yet challenging connection. Each of them mirrors the other's hidden desires and fears, leading to intense attraction, but also potential power struggles. This aspect pushes both to confront their shadow selves and maybe to explore their hidden desires together. It offers a path to deep transformation if navigated with awareness and mutual respect. Mix's Lilith also clashes with Earth's Neptune and Uranus. This means there might be moments where they misunderstand each other or feel triggered, especially when one of them wants space while the other needs closeness. Their conversations can be sharp, honest, and a little rebellious. They might talk about things other people avoid, and it can be thrilling to open up to each other. Nevertheless, Earth might sometimes see Mix's raw honesty or boldness as too much, while Mix might feel like Earth is hiding something. But even these clashes can help them learn more about their real selves if they are open to it. Last but not least, the asteroid Karma shows spiritual or fated links. Earth's Karma touches Mix's Neptune, the planet of dreams, and Mix's Karma touches Earth's Mars, his desires and energy. This gives the relationship a strange, meant-to-be feeling, like they are crossing paths for a reason, maybe to inspire each other, or maybe to push one another forward. When Earth and Mix come together, something very different happens compared to when they are alone. Their personal birth charts are full of water, deep feelings, imagination, and sensitivity. But when we look at their composite chart, which is like the birth chart of their connection, something changes. The predominant element is Earth. Earth energy is all about being grounded, stable, and practical. This means that together, Earth and Mix give each other what they might lack alone: structure, calm, and a solid foundation. They help each other feel more real and more focused. This reminds me of an interview where Earth said that Mix needs someone to remind him of things, and he, Earth, was the one doing that. And guess what? He called Mix Saturn in that interview, this time having another explanation than the fact that the fans call him that. He said that Mix was like Saturn because he had a ring around him, that being Earth, who reminds him everything. Their composite moon is in Cancer, which adds softness and emotion to their bond. The moon is about feelings and comfort, and Cancer is its favorite sign, so this shows a strong emotional connection. They probably feel safe around each other, like being home. They may not always show it on the outside, but deep down they care a lot about each other's feelings. They also have a strong Taurus vibe with the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars all in Taurus. Taurus is calm, loyal, and sensual. It enjoys slow, steady growth and dislikes drama. The Sun in Taurus shows their connection is steady and dependable. It's not a rush of excitement, but a bond that can build over time. Venus in Taurus adds affection, loyalty, and even physical closeness. Mars in Taurus means that they work well side by side, slowly but surely. These two probably don't like rushing things between them. Right next to the Sun, we find the asteroids Fortuna, luck and wealth, and Ceres, representing nurturing and also wealth. This is a sign that their bond brings both good fortune and comfort. Together they might feel stronger, safer, or even luckier in their careers or public image. Their relationship, whatever form it takes, has the power to nourish them and others, and it helps them become rich. Then we see something beautiful between their Sun and Venus. The asteroid Amor, which is all about pure love, sits right in the middle. Amor isn't about control or drama, it's about affection and warm feelings that don't need to be labeled. Maybe that's why it's hard to say what exactly their connection is. It's deep, but it doesn't need a name to be real. The communication between them is unique. Their Mercury, the planet of communication, is retrograde, so it might take a while for them to say what they really mean. But this Mercury is also next to Cupido, the asteroid of sweet attraction. They might understand each other in quiet ways, through looks, certain gestures, shared moods, or unspoken moments. Do you remember that time when Earth spoke about how they got to work together and called it Decinity? Well, it wasn't Decinity, but it was certainly destiny. Their North Node, the point in the chart that shows our destiny and where a relationship is meant to grow, is in Libra, the sign of harmony and partnership. That's already lovely, but on top of that, Juno, the asteroid of marriage and long-term commitment, is sitting right next to it. This shows a bond that feels fated and teaches both of them how to be equals, how to give and take in love and work. However, this point is a little out of sync with their Taurus Sun. It's like the heart of their connection wants peace and balance, but also has to stretch or adapt to reach it. There are also signs of challenge and power. Mars in Taurus makes a tough square to Uranus in the Aquarius, so even though their bond is steady, it can be shaken by sudden changes or emotional surprises. Mars also forms a challenging aspect to Pluto, the planet of power, transformation, and obsession, which adds intensity and power plays that they may not fully understand. There may be moments when one of them pushes while the other one pulls, or when deep emotions stir beneath the surface. Neptune and Jupiter are in Capricorn, and this can bring a shared dream that's also rooted in reality. They may support each other's goals and believe in what they are building, slowly and wisely. But Neptune opposes Black Moon Lilith in Cancer, which adds emotional mystery. There may be unspoken feelings, hidden fears, or a magnetic attraction they don't quite know how to handle. Lilith in Cancer can show raw emotions or vulnerability that's hard to control, especially when Neptune is nearby blurring the truth. Last but not least, a small talent triangle in their chart brings together Saturn, meaning responsibility, Pluto, transformation, and Uranus, innovation. This means they have the power to turn challenges into something creative or even revolutionary. When they work through hard moments together, they don't just survive, they grow stronger. This triangle also helps them in their careers. It supports hard work and adds passion, making their scenes together feel very intense. Overall, EarthMix's relationship feels like a safe space where two very sensitive people can be real, build trust, and learn how to support each other in practical and emotional ways. Whether as close friends, lovers, or something in between, this bond seems to be about growth, comfort, and a deep kind of understanding that doesn't always need words. Their chemistry feels almost effortless, but even the strongest bonds can go through storms. Their so-called divorce era was one of those times, and we are now taking a closer look at it. I'm a relatively new BL fan. I only discovered this world in September 2023, meaning that I wasn't here when EarthMix's so-called divorce era happened. But a lot of fans still talk about it, so I was curious if something happened in their charts at the time, and of course it did. I'm going to share with you my opinion from an astrological point of view. But if you were already a BL fan at the time, please share in the comments what you think about it. According to my research, EarthMix's so-called divorce era began sometime around late July or early August 2022, shortly after they started filming Moonlight Chicken. Ironically, up until now, this was, in my opinion, their most emotionally intense series. Behind the scenes, though, things were different. The fans noticed that Earth and Mix were distant and spent less time together. There were also cryptic social media posts. And yet they kept working together. They promoted Cupid's Last Wish and filmed Moonlight Chicken, including those unforgettable NC scenes, while barely speaking off camera. Can you imagine that raw intimacy on screen while fighting in real life? They even had a scene where they ended up kissing, although there was no kiss in the script. They were so immersed in the characters that they just did it. That's next level acting, but also something deeper refusing to break. Fortunately, they managed to get over it, and the silence between them ended in November 2022 with the Kauai trip. To see what was going on, I used the 1st of August 2022 for my analysis. Once again, I saw that red thread, and I'll share it all in a few moments, but first we must go a little further back in time, to the beginning of their relationship. Have you ever heard of the 7-year itch? That's the first thing I think about when someone talks about a breakup or divorce. Because believe it or not, this is a real thing in astrology and it's caused by Saturn. This planet represents, among other, long-term commitments, and once every 7 to 8 years, it activates certain points in the horoscope that can lead either to separation or to a relationship evolving. So my first question about the divorce era was, were they together for 7 years or a multiple of 7 like 14 or 21? I couldn't find a video or something where they say exactly when they met, but I found 2 events in June 2023 where they were talking about their 10th anniversary. So it wasn't 7, but this number will still play an important role, as you will see a little bit later. But back to the time when they first met. I looked at their horoscopes for the period of time around June 2013. I won't go into all the details because there would be a lot to talk about, but their individual horoscope and also their couple horoscope show many signs of a very special encounter. They were meant to meet someone they would love, someone with the potential to become their partner, be it a business partner, a close friend, or a love interest. It could even be a soulmate, someone they knew from a past life. Here is where Saturn, the Lord of Karma, comes in. It plays a major role in their horoscopes at the time. In Earth's chart, it formed positive aspects with his Sun Saturn conjunction and also with asteroid Chiron. This was a time that brought healing to karmic wounds around identity, self-worth, rejection, or the idea that he wasn't good enough. But the universe brought an important person to his life, one that would help him accept his weaknesses and heal in order to build a strong foundation for his future. As I found out later after doing the analysis, at that time he was indeed thinking about leaving the entertainment industry because he felt unsuitable and under a lot of pressure. I dare say that without Mix and A Tale of Thousand Stars, he might not be an actor today. We are certainly all very happy that he changed his mind. In Mix's chart, transiting Saturn was opposed his natal Saturn and formed a trine to his natal Venus, the planet of love. He was at a major karmic crossroad. Saturn was asking him if he was living in alignment with his long-term values, commitments, and purpose. It gave him the chance to restructure his life and to build something stable and lasting in love, finances, and creative work. Relationships that started at the time felt fated as they carried a sense of shared purpose and gave him the feeling that they are the right thing for him. In their combined chart, so the chart of their relationship, Saturn formed tense aspects to Mars, the planet of action and desire, and to Uranus, the planet of surprises and sudden changes. It was also conjunct Fortuna, an asteroid connected to good luck and money. A huge change in their life was inevitable. Their first meeting carried serious karmic energy. Saturn brought instant chemistry and excitement, but also tension and unpredictability. There was a potential to find joy and happiness together, but only with patience and hard work. In any case, from the start, their bond was meant to shape them in deep, lasting ways. So this was the first time where we see Saturn in action in their relationship. The second time it strongly influenced them was surprise 7 years later. We don't know if they were in contact after they first met, but we know that they didn't work together yet. That came roughly 7 years after they first met, namely when they filmed A Tale of Thousand Stars. As I said earlier, every 7 years Saturn changes something in us and in our relationships. Some relationships become even closer and stronger, while others come to an end. For Earth and Mix, this was a time when their relationship evolved and they became the duo we all love. Now let's follow that red thread until we reach August 2022, when the divorce era started. When I first looked at the charts for that time, my first reaction was, did someone propose? There are actually many tense aspects, but at the same time many positive ones. So many that it made me have that reaction. I'm not saying that this happened because we don't even know for sure if they were romantically involved, but I can understand a thing that Mix said in an interview, that they were too close at that time. I was wondering what too close can even mean in a relationship, but now I can definitely see that they were very strongly connected, at least when it comes to their stars. Yet as I said, there was also a lot of tension. Once again, I will mention only the most important aspects. During that time in the sky there was a powerful conjunction of Mars, the planet of action, desire, and also conflicts, Uranus, who demands sudden changes, and the North Node, a point connected to fate and our life path. This conjunction was clashing with Earth's natal Mars, making him irritable, frustrated, maybe a bit aggressive, and wanting a change. And of course there was Saturn again. The transiting Saturn was conjunct Earth's Mars. While he was desperate for a change, Saturn was limiting his actions. This means that inside him there was a lot of energy building up that had no way to get out. Imagine a pressure cooker where the water is boiling and that you have to handle carefully and correctly, otherwise it can explode. In Mix's case, that same conjunction of Mars, Uranus, and the North Node was poking his Sun, his core self, and Venus, the planet of love. His Mars was affected by transiting Jupiter and Black Moon Lilith, wanting more freedom and to evolve. So we see the desire for a change exactly like in Earth's chart. At the same time, dear old Saturn was in opposition to Mix's natal Mercury, the planet of communication. This means that he either couldn't express at all what he was feeling and what he wanted, or he did that but in the wrong way. The powerful Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction had the biggest impact in their combined chart. It was sitting exactly near their couple's Sun and triggering their Saturn, initiating a process that would transform their relationship. There were many signs showing a bigger change or a breakup during that time. If you're wondering what Saturn was doing, it was in a challenging aspect to asteroid Chiron, representing wounds but also healing. Saturn was probably pressing on an old wound EarthMix shared or triggered in each other. This was a phase where it felt harder to express vulnerability. Instead of healing together, they probably shut down or withdrew under pressure. However, this transit also offered a quiet opportunity to gently face those wounds with maturity and care. This was a karmic nudge to address emotional pain that still lingered beneath the surface. It certainly felt uncomfortable, but it was their chance to build deeper trust and understanding, leading to a stronger relationship. Fortunately, despite having a lot of challenging aspects in their chart, Earth and Mix also had many positive ones that in the end helped them overcome this period of time. So the red thread continues, and the next very important events will come in 2026 and or 2028. In 2026, transiting Saturn meets their combined Saturn, and in 2028 it will be in opposition to the point where it was when they first met. especially in spring 2026, with an emphasis on March 2026, their relationship will be in a serious defining phase. This will be a time to self-reflect and to get clear on boundaries, responsibilities, and long-term goals. Saturn puts their relationship to a test, but this is meant to bring maturity, deeper commitment, and emotional growth. Old patterns may surface to be released, allowing EarthMix to rebuild with more clarity, stability, and purpose. It's a test, but also a chance for renewal. If their relationship is built on a weak foundation, they might decide to go on separate ways. But if their relationship is strong, it will grow even stronger. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, including mine, but this could be the time of a very important step in their relationship. If they are just friends, they might become more than that. And if they are already in a romantic relationship, they might decide to get married. I am very excited about this next point on their red thread and also about how it will continue. And now that we follow the red thread through their stars, it's clear. Nothing between Earth and Mix is random. Their personal charts show two deeply emotional, intuitive people, and when they come together, their bond becomes solid, grounded, and real. Whether it's the moon in Cancer that makes them feel like home to another, or the Taurus Sun and Venus that hold space for loyalty and quiet care, everything about their connection says you're safe with me. Moreover, from their first meeting to their so-called divorce era and even the name of their mascot, Saturn has quietly shaped the rhythm of their story. Whatever Earth and Mix are to each other, it's no coincidence they were brought together by a tale of thousand stars, because their own story is written in the stars. Stick around to see if the same goes for other couples. My next videos will be about Gemini 4th, Zinunyu, In War, and Ompawat's ideal new partner. Until the next time, shine bright like the stars.